Hey, I'm Brendan at abt.bike, and today I'm going to show you how to install White Industries MR30 cranksets. That's mountain, road, gravel, 30mm cranksets. Let's get started. So the tools you're going to need for this are a 10mm Allen wrench, a 1.5mm Allen wrench, a Park BBT22 bottom bracket tool for putting the chainring on. You'll need a pin spanner to put the self-extractor caps on. And you'll need a torque wrench with a 10mm Allen wrench head. This torque wrench needs to be able to go up to 50 Newton meters. You'll also need some grease. So as we get the cranks ready, we'll install the chainring, grease the threads of the lock ring, tighten that down, and then finally check it with a torque wrench set to 40 Newton meters. There we go. Next, you'll take your extractor cap and your crank bolt and install those. A little bit of grease in between them and on the threads is definitely a good idea. Use your pin spanner just to snug those down until the extractor cap is snug. So now you have your assembled drive side crank arm. You'll do the same thing in terms of the extractor cap for the non-drive side. And then take your spindle and just insert that into the non-drive side arm and take a 10mm Allen wrench and just snug that down. So it does not need to be tight yet. You just want to hold these together securely. And now is a good time to take your adjuster and turn that clockwise as far as it'll go, just to tighten it against this arm so that it's all the way bottomed out. Next, you can take some grease and just put that on the spindle so that where the bearing is touching it, we'll have some grease. Just a light but even coating is good. And with your bottom bracket all torqued in, you're just going to insert this from the non-drive side, slide it through to the drive side, and then you'll take your drive side arm and just put it on. Make sure it's at 180 degrees to the non-drive, and you can just start to tighten it on there. And then this you'll tighten pretty tight. So it's good to just get it started with your regular 10mm Allen, and then take your torque wrench set to 50 Newton meters, insert that in there and torque that to 50 Newton meters. And then you'll come around to the non-drive side and tighten that down to 50 Newton meters. So once you've got your main crank bolts on both sides torqued down to 50 Newton meters, then you can slide your cranks back and forth. You can feel some play in there. So push from the drive side to the non-drive side so that all the play, all the gap is over here. And then you can use your adjuster ring over here to just remove that play. So you're just going to tighten it just enough to take the play out. And then if you're using most external bearing bottom brackets, but a White Industries being a good example, you can use the notches on this to measure the next step, because you need to then back this off, so loosen the adjustment here, the preload essentially, by 1/6 of a turn, which is 2 notches on the bottom bracket. So loosen that up, and then there should be little to no play. So I can feel just a hint of play at that point. And tighten this up with a 1.5mm Allen wrench. And this you don't need to tighten it very tight. You're just tightening it enough that it can't move. And your crank should spin smoothly now. If they don't spin smoothly, you need to back it off farther, because if it's too tight, if this adjuster is too tight, it'll wear your bearings out quickly. So just want to make sure that that is correctly adjusted, and then you're all done and you can put your pedals back on and go ride. Hope that helps.